Supposing that you don't want to go to holiday festivities, saying that let's suppose you don't have a lot of jolliness that you wish to share. I want to talk about the holiday blues on our next segment. Cynthia, please take us through this.
Certainly. So, this particular article is entitled Holiday Blues Put Your Mental Health First this holiday season. It is from the Health University of Utah, and it is authored by Leanne Bentley. And
Mhm.
who is their social media and communication specialist. And basically, this particular article is referencing a child and adolescent psychiatrist named Rachel Weir,
Mhm.
who also is a psychiatrist at the Huntsman Mental Health Institute. And she shares her expertise and tips on making this holiday season more enjoyable. And I know for me specifically, I wanted to touch on this because like mental health is
Mhm.
definitely one of my soapboxes that I like to get on. I get on a few soapboxes, but mental health is definitely one of them. And 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 the reason being is because especially like around these particular time periods that, behavioral health, mental health, and even mood can be very much so affected adversely in this particular time period. And especially like if there has been times where it could be very hard if especially if like you experience loss around this
Mhm.
time, um if you may not even necessarily have like a lot of relationships versus family and friends, that
Mhm.
could be an issue as well. And so one of the things that she does make some suggestions as far as like some of the things that you can do in order to avoid the holiday blues. I'll just touch on a little bit and then you guys, chime on in. Like one of the things she said is to follow a schedule.
Mhm.
Um, and one of the things she said about that is that it's important to schedule things, ideally to have someone like a family, a friend member, or a therapist to hold you
Mhm.
accountable, through a hard time. I personally have told, family, friends, and also my patients, if it's not on my calendar, it's not real, you
That's
know.
right. Let's
Yeah.
let's let's ask the other panelists. What do you feel about following a schedule? Let's go through this all together.
Mm.
Thoughts on following a schedule, Jason, Nate, anything?
You know, it would be great to follow a schedule during this time of the year, but
Yeah.
because you think, okay, so it's hard coded into the calendar. The 25th is
Right.
Christmas,
Sure.
Mhm.
31st is New Year's Eve, and all that. But unfortunately, life doesn't work that way, and
No.
Mm.
sometimes you got that uncle who he works the late shift
Sure.
and can't come in until 3 or 4 days after the event, and so you have to kind of work around that. And so
Sure.
it's great to have a
But you
schedule
but you can calendar that. You can schedule
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
to a
After you
certain
talk to
extent.
your to said uncle, say
I
Yeah,
come
think
when
I
you
think what
come.
we're talking about here, Jason, I get your point, but I think what we're talking about here is for those who are feeling down and low.
yeah,
Sometimes you need to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cynthia, since you are the expert in this field. Sometimes to help us keep going, we got to put one foot in front of the other, and that's what's happening here. It's like I don't
Indeed.
want to do anything. I just want to sit here and I'm going to watch the rest of Star Trek Discovery, and you know that's a bad
Yes.
sign. You know
Wow.
that's a really bad sign,
I
and
like
so
yeah.
Discovery, by the way, but continue.
So following a schedule can help you move forward in the direction that you want to move forward in, but you're
Hmm.
not just sitting and loafing. Nate, thoughts on that?
I mean, that's true at any time of year.
It is.
Um,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I read this article and I thought, a lot of this advice really doesn't really seem all that useful. Like it's kind of
Mm.
seems like a fluff piece. Like she's like, watch what you eat. Don't
Mhm.
get drunk with your conservative uncle in the room. Plan
Mm.
your activities.
Sure.
Set boundaries. It's like, well, no shit. Like, tell me something I don't know, right?
You say that okay, and I get it, but I'm gonna disagree with you, Nate. I'm sorry, I'm gonna disagree with you
Well, you
because
go right ahead.
because
Let's do this.
you're fine, Nate. But there are people that struggle with depression, seasonal depression, they are alone. There are
Sure.
people that are in our audience that maybe right now are
Mhm.
dreading the holidays, either because they're going to be alone or they got to go face the rest of the family, whatever that means. And I think you're right. It could be seen as a fluff piece. And I see your point. There's no substitute, folks in the audience, for getting the help that you need from a professional, right? From
Right.
having a
No.
close knit band of friends and social support group. But these are some things that you might keep in mind if you are dreading the holidays. And I think
Mhm.
that's what's
And,
happening.
and if you've never lived through a holiday season before, I guess this might be useful. But like, to push back against what you're saying, like when I read this, I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I want to kind of take a look at this myth that depression and suicide rates spike during the holidays. So I spent a little bit of time looking into this,
Very good.
and I found a few studies that found no link between the two.
Okay.
There is
Mhm.
no increase in suicide rates. There is no increase in depression rates. And in fact, a few studies that I found, one by Winchester Hospital, found that the opposite is true, because you have that additional exposure to a support system that you might not have for the rest of the year. So it seems like maybe seasonal affective disorder is more of a plausible explanation for why people feel down during the winter months,
Well, I
as
will say this. I will say this, and this may be anecdotal, but I'm going to say it anyway.
we love anecdotes. Cynthia, hit
Sure,
me.
sure, sure. Yeah, anecdotes are evidence all day. Um,
They're not good
working,
evidence, but they're evidence.
right?
Yeah.
They're evidence all day.
Get enough of it, it becomes data.
Sure, sure. I know plenty
Yeah.
of people who I just want to punch in the face because of their anecdotal evidence. Regardless, I will say, working with the population of people that I work with, a lot of them don't have very close family members. Some do, but not a lot of them don't. Not a lot of them do, rather, and a lot of them will. Uh, confide in me to tell me that holidays are very
Yeah.
difficult for them because they don't always have like a mom, a dad, or a sister or a brother or what have you
Mhm.
to really
Mhm.
confide in. Some of them actually go through like chosen families, especially since like a large portion of my patient population are LGBTQ. So I definitely have been exposed to what do you do around this time period where everyone is talking about gathering with their family, gathering with,
Yeah.
people who are, close to them, and that's not really something that is prevalent to them at that time. But I will say like a couple of things that I did agree with the article. I didn't particularly agree with the limiting alcohol use. I'm like, child, if I have to put down wine, what the hell? But I will agree with limiting your time on social media because if you get too much involved, and especially in Twitter, like you will crash and burn. And I really do encourage people, but this is 365, 366 if we're like in a leap year, to set boundaries. Just to say that this is this is my boundary, and this particular boundary shall not be crossed, or there's going to be an issue.
Mm.
And I think that that's something that all of us could to do to really protect our mental health, our behavioral health, regardless if it's holiday season or not.
That was the best piece of advice in this entire article, was setting boundaries and being like, like, we're not going to talk about this today. This is Christmas. We are going to have a good time. We're not going to talk about whether abortion is right or wrong. We're
Yeah.
just going to have a good time and hang out. And like, that's what I have had to do with so many
Yeah.
people in my family. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
can we not get into this right now? Can we just enjoy the moment,
Jason, what
please?
For
what your thoughts on setting boundaries? I see something in your notes.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, it is incredibly difficult. I mean, we are social creatures at the end of the day, and some people they feel like they need to be more agreeable, that they need to let those boundaries down. And I'm sorry, but you can go ahead and put those boundaries up. You can say, look, we're not going to talk about this, or I'm going to have to leave. And
Yeah.
is family going to blow up their phone, your phone? Absolutely. It's possible that they will. But does that make you the asshole? Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, you need to take care of yourself, and not worry about what somebody who has very toxic views of you
Yeah.
and your life
Agreed.
dictate how things should be.
Yeah, agreed. I think the takeaway is this: really setting boundaries, both boundaries with your own time, boundaries with your level of participation. If you don't feel comfortable, just don't do it. And there's a pressure to participate, but you know what? That's just a tradition. You don't have to follow the traditions that are set out in front of you. You have to think about your well-being and the well-being of the people that you are in charge of, for the people that you care for, children, other partners, what have you. And I say, make your own traditions. If the traditions that are set up before you don't work, if you don't want to talk with Uncle Ted, who's got his mega beliefs, or whoever or whatever it is, you don't have to do it. I mean, it seems like you've got thousands of years leading up to you going to your aunt's house to go hear about how awful so and so is. You don't have to do it. You can just like Humongous says in Mad Max: The Road Warrior, just walk away. Just walk away, and no one has to be harmed. And so, with all that said, again, if you have access to mental health professionals, seek them out. And don't rely on us, but take care of yourselves this holiday season. Take care of the people that you care about. But you know what? I think we need to move on.
Wait, can I throw in one thing?
You can throw in one thing.
If you need, I'm sorry, Johnny. I see you angry, but if I could throw in one thing, if you need support over the holiday season, you can always get in touch with Recovering from Religion. 24-hour helpline. You can get peer support. You can get professional support.
Yes.
If you need someone to talk to, they are there.
And the suicide hotline as well, if you are that far along in the suffering that you're dealing with. So I take back my stink eye, Nate. Take it back. I withdraw. What?
RFR gave me my start in atheist activism, so I am forever grateful.
That's a very good point.